in slow motion. I doubled up on a lot of the shots, but hey everybody, this is Focus Live. Hey, there's the camera. Look into the camera. That's what I'll do. Just turn down this volume for a bit. I'll just keep it in the background. And welcome to the show. Hello, this is Focus Live here in my apartment in the beaches, and we're just chilling. And I got another musical showcase tonight. Got a couple Toronto buddies. One is Dr.Keys. We go way back and to the Not My Dog days of open mics and stuff like that. And we have Aysanabee, who's a good buddy of mine, and he's going to be playing some tracks later on and joining us in the show later on. So the basic premise of this show is kind of just to showcase independent artists all over the world that I've met, that I've had the pleasure to work with, that I've had the privilege to hang out with and just know them as people and musicians. So, this is another way of me to grow as an artist and share my background in broadcasting and stretching my own abilities and just trying to get my my platform out there. So what you're hearing right now is a track called Escape, and it was made with a gentleman named Andrew Frost, who goes way back, and my next guest knows this gentleman very well. And so just the basic premise of this show is just to bring awareness to some more independent artists and to also give them a boost and give us some help and some album sales. So we're gearing up for another Bandcamp Friday next Friday, and just making people aware that Bandcamp waives all the 15% fees that they usually deduct from artists on each Friday of the first Friday of each month. So the next one coming up is next Friday, April 2nd, and many of these guests have albums on this platform and to share and to give to you, the audience. So I'm just gonna bring this track down. It's just waiting down. So I got my coffee here, and welcoming everybody on Facebook. I think it's going on my fan page and my personal page. So welcome everybody, and on YouTube, any reoccurring viewers we got to watch. And we're gonna bring our first guest in, Dr. Keys. Let's see if we can bring him in here. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Great. Yourself?
Let's see if we can bring you to the picture here. Hey, we're here with you. We got you there, but this is a thing I'm still working out. So let me just refresh this, and we should. No, it still doesn't want to play along. It's doing a poopy face. Ein moment. Let me see if we can bring this together. Sorry, folks. I don't know. There we go. Hallelujah. Frickin', we're together. It's a little glitchy, but we're doing it, man. How's it going, dude?
I'm great. It's been
great. We got you. Yeah, man. Nice suit. I like the. Is that a sweater or is that's?
Yeah, it's a cardigan.
It's a cardigan. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, my uncle gave this to me.
That's a Dumb and Dumber line. That's the cardigan. Pull over.
That's right.
The dude on the bus, he's pulling him over. And
Yeah.
pull over. No, it's a cardigan.
Samson.
Like,
Oh, it's
Samson
way
is way off. Yeah. Nothing like to start with a guest who understands my old ass fucking references, man.
Yeah. I think I must have dated myself just now as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a classic, and that's like, you must have those friends too, where you're like your only dialogue amongst them. I'm grown up now because I try not to do that stuff anymore, but I still have friends that I communicate like that with. But your whole dialogue with them is from like a favorite movie or something. Like it's
Occasionally.
okay, yeah. Like when I was younger, I did that. I was like, you'd hung around with a friend who just like the only movie you liked, you just communicated in those kind of lines from the movie. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's been known to happen for sure.
all right, well let's introduce you here. You're known as Dr. Keys, and just give us a little a spiel about yourself here.
20-year veteran of the Toronto music scene. Got my start working with Daryl Hurst, who now is fronting Indie Week. Very invaluable experience playing all those clubs back in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And jazz gigs. Yeah, just been basically spending the past 20 years playing as many gigs as possible.
So where do you find yourself kind of now after doing like 20 years of that, lifestyle, that kind of scene, and now everything's kind of done a 180, like, or the whole fucking 360. Where do you, like, how do you see yourself going forward with this now, and like gigs in general? Like what's your take on, like, if we go back and when we go back, and what do you think it looks like, and how do you see yourself fitting in that picture a little
I
later?
think with the advent of mass streaming services, there may be a large incorporation of that into the music scene. It's a matter of troubleshooting for the most part. Like it's like the technology is very new, and with the demand comes a retooling that's necessary to have it as optimal as possible as a medium with which to convey the live music that's going on. I see myself getting more into that and um, continuing making as much music as possible. I think the blessing of the past year has been the opportunity to make a full length, which is something I haven't done to such a degree um, ever. Like as a solo artist, never. I've conceptualized EPs, but never really got around to getting to the finish line with the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
But Hot Takes, it just came out about
Yeah,
2 months
congrats
ago.
on that, man. I've been whistling that one song. Anything is possible. That one. Is
What
that
it's
how
all
it goes?
about.
Yeah, what it's all about. I've been whistling that one around the house. That's catchy. I like that one. That's
Nice.
I wrote actually to that the other night.
Oh,
I
cool.
wrote. Yeah, I listened to it at late at night. Sometimes I have nothing to do, so I've been writing like a motherfucker, and I just picked that up, and it jives with me. So I wrote a page out, and I'm getting consistent with more my impulsive writing now, and getting more active with it as when I'm introduced to something that I like right away, and I just get that verse down, or the page, if it might be one page or it might be 2 or 3 pages,
Mm.
but I get it out right away. Yeah, it's a groovy tune, man. And
Cool.
and where can everybody get those on all platforms, and when did it come out?
It, Hot Takes was released on January 21st, and it was preceded by 2 singles. take
So
it back.
21st on the 21st. How fitting.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, and you can find it at t1aodrkeys.bandcamp.com and on all major platforms for streaming and so forth.
Awesome.
Wherever you
And
get
you
your
have
music.
something you do a weekly jam or something? I've seen you do online as well. Do you want
I've been doing a little live from the jam space. Um, but frankly, it's been a little busy
Mhm.
since my plan for the album was to make a video for each track and
Gotcha.
release one every 2 weeks to just to give attention to each track because it's a full length. You don't really hear full length albums these days. Everything is like singles or EPs
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Sometimes even just like 38-second loops of something like the hook.
Yeah. 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 No, I feel you. On the other hand, I feel like I'm diving into a lot of this stuff and like how to present and package your albums on different platforms and what each platform is like beneficial for too,
Hmm.
And I do find that the up and up for Curiosity for good solid long albums are going to take another swing up.
Hmm.
And we're going to get away from the singles kind of dynamic, And especially with technology like this, and you're going to be able to present your whole album from your living room anywhere, you know what I mean, and dress it up. You can get a whole band going, and it's going to be easier to present that to people who want to see that, right?
Yeah.
And I think our attention span has gotten so short now that people want something tangible that they can kind of like immerse themselves into. I don't know. I just see people getting more invested into artists that they like. You know what I mean? And having more of a connection with it. And I think this is what you've seen the whole cycle come around. I think this is what was meant to be at the beginning with Napster. Was the meaning of it was to bring the fans in to the digital world, to the artists, right, and to give them everything else. And
Yeah.
now I think the music industry, it's too late for them. It's too late for the music industry. We figured it out. We're all going to figure it out collectively, individually, where we can all benefit off it, but as individuals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think now there's going to be more of like, you're going to be able to get your own niche, like your
Yeah.
own fan base and cater to them. And they're going to really appreciate it. And I know, like Spotify's driving a lot of the trends and stuff like that, but there's other platforms that are fantastic, like this one, for example, YouTube. Your music is embedded in YouTube and it's already there. So it's like once you claim yourself as an artist and you get that certified on YouTube, it's like you're broadcasting and you have your music right there too for people to purchase and to stream, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of these things like Twitch, where Twitch is in partners with and owned by Amazon. So your music that's on Amazon is right there in a player while you're broadcasting.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of like, you being the store, you being the entertainment, you being all the things in one. And it's like, it's pretty easy. It's getting a lot easier for the individual, for the artist, right?
Yeah.
And stuff like this, like Restream, is making it a lot easier. And the audio's getting there, and I just have to make a few tweaks and it's going to be dynamite, man. But it's like, I never thought of doing this even like a year ago, like being able
Yeah.
to like chat with you, split screen, and play some music. And like I just started dabbling in this live streaming a year ago, and I didn't know anything. I just started getting into it. I think you just have to get into it, really,
Yeah.
and just like and
That's the
yeah,
hardest part.
yeah.
The hardest and easiest part for independent musicians.
Well, yeah, I hear you, man.
Cur-
But
um, in
go.
addition to making the videos and posting them, I've been able to find uh, various media platforms to get eyes on these videos as much as possible. And I found a really interesting one called
Mm-hmm.
Odyssey.com, where it's actually incentivized for all the users. So as long as you have an account, you can actually earn credits simply watching videos.
That's great. That's a great
Yeah,
incentive. Who wouldn't want to do that?
yeah, exactly. And it's on like any like videos that you post. Like if you're a content creator, videos that you post are on a blockchain forever. They won't get
Really?
deleted.
You got to send me that link because I have those. We're going to talk to you about that too. About you can get your own content ID for your videos as well. You don't need it from. You don't need to pay for it from DistroKid. You can get it done in other companies for free,
Huh.
and you
Well,
have
it's
that
very
content
interesting.
ID.
We'll trade information.
Yeah, there's this one thing called Audium, which is people should really familiarize themselves with, and it used to be associated with SOCAN, and when all
Hmm.
the digital stuff started blowing up, SOCAN couldn't handle it. Just don't know this area, but they need somebody to collect for them. So these guys did this for a while, but they broke off, and they used to. I think it's TuneCore that they
Yeah.
used to own. Don't quote me. I can't remember which one it is, but they used to run that, and now they do this. So what they do is they focus solely on YouTube, and they give you you give them your ISWC, which is your composition code, which you give SOCAN anyways,
Yeah.
and you give them your ISRC is what you give DistroKid for your distribution and all that shit.
Yeah.
So your sound recording and your composition, two entities.
Hmm.
Then they give you this thing called a content ID, which is like your stamp for your video on YouTube. So when somebody, like for example, I'll pull up, like if we have a music video, I'll pull it up on your YouTube on this show. I'm using your content. That money goes to you because you have that content ID, right?
Yeah.
So because YouTube's made it so hard for you to get those monetization levels, like those standards, that most musicians just don't put much effort into their YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But this entity, Audium, goes in the back door and gets these things for you. And CD Baby's really good for that. I think they have one called Rumblefish. They used to collect for your actual views.
Hmm.
And I kind of know this stuff just because I burned myself over the last 10 years. I've been through all these entities kind of, and my engineer got me into it right away. He was like, you need to stamp your songs with these codes, and before you even put anything out, like he started educating me in that era, and I was in the right mind frame already. I put my shit in CD Baby,
Yeah.
and then through Rumblefish, and just a lot of lots and lots of trial and error with that. I've come around and figured a lot out, and just this last year, really, it's kind of like so many things of like 10 years I'm figuring out now. It's kind of just like I've given myself time to delve into it, to really understand the whole aspect. And I think that's that's the biggest struggle, I think, as a indie artist right now, is like you gotta focus a little bit of time on your social media, then you got time on your actual making songs, and you gotta figure out like to remember those songs, and then there's so many things that you gotta do yourself, right? But so I've done this for 20 years too. You've done this for 20 years. What do you find? Because I feel like I was really behind on the tech side. You know what I mean? Like I've been able to cruise at a job where I've just show up and it's okay. I feel like I fell behind on tech wise, and now I've kind of caught up with some of this live streaming stuff. where do you find you want to like start looking into and curiosity in yourself? Like what angle and also like what part were you refining with this time off too?
The I can answer those in reverse order. Um, the As far as refinement, definitely the craft of composition. Um, Normally, I'd be in day jobs and whatever, and not giving myself much time to practice. Like when I get home from work, because you gotta take yourself out of this mode where like I'm no longer a pizza chef, or I'm no longer like an Uber driver, you know. So over the years, I'd be writing very occasionally. Like when I was growing up and studying in high school, I was very prolific as a composer, and then through university, it started to peter out a little bit until I would be basically writing like a song a year,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of forget about how to do it, and then just do it,
Yeah.
and then let it occur naturally until this past year where I just had retreated. I basically went on a writing retreat and came up with 6 songs in a week,
Damn.
which was unprecedented by my standards, over the past many
The
years that I've
floodgate
been.
just bursted. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So and then since then, learning about the recording process, mixing, like tracking, mixing, mastering, just to know what it is and what it's about. So like if I happen to hear something in a recording and I don't know what it is, then I can learn, or if I know what it is, then I can like draw attention to it if it's like a mistake or something, or like
Mm-hmm.
something stuff like that. Um, and moving forward, I would say that I've been doing a bit of research on this exact thing that we're doing, like the streaming,
Mm-hmm.
and finding ways to kind of streamline it in a way
Yeah.
where it's much it's it's much easier for everybody to be able to have the experience
Well, I'll
that
tell you right
we can.
now, there's really whatever you can conceptualize, there's a YouTube video for it. So whatever the question is in your head, just fire it out there and just if you don't get it, just re-ask it again in a certain way. And I find that it's not, don't try and explain it to it in a sentence, just keywords like streaming live Facebook, and
Yeah.
then it'll give you good videos. You just got to shift through a few of them because a lot of them people just talk shit. But right off the bat, I can tell you, and everybody and anybody that's watching, is a program called OBS will really up your game. And OBS is just free, and it's operating broadcast system. It's a basic software, and it allows you to control all your audio. So you can get audio from your desktop, your mic, everything, all the sources, and it brings it all together, and you can view it, and you can like lay out your web camera and all that stuff, and you're able to directly link to a key that's given for you in your Facebook and your YouTube when you go to stream. So my suggestion is just do it, like just like find the programs, download it, and just do it, even if it fucks up and it doesn't. Like I started this a year ago, and I got my web camera working with the mic, like what I have right now, but just by myself, and that was a start. I was happy with that, and then I just kind of experimented more with it, and then just I was given the opportunity by Nikki at the Painted Lady to listen to my crazy ideas, and we were able to broadcast from there. So I actually kind of, after a lot of chatting and a few shots, I convinced them to like upgrade their internet, and I told them it was, beneficial. And we did. So they did, and we ended up doing like full broadcasts from there, like how they used to do it at Chum, live from a venue here. So we got 4 in, and I was really happy about that. And they weren't perfect, but we did them. It's just like, just to get them out, just to do them, and to get it out there is all about learning.
Yeah.
And I think it's a key part, and I think it's gonna be a key part moving forward, because I think fans, and I've talked about this with my buddy Sule on the last show. We're always talking about how like fans don't want to see yesterday. Like, they want to be with you now. They want to see now, and they want to be a part of that. They want to be like knowing what you're doing on before the gig. Like, we're here sound check, doing something, even little bits like that, and also going live. Like, there's this adage I got from viewing people reacting to certain things on Facebook and stuff, and people are like, oh, somebody's out here doing shows, and it's like, we can't all do shows here. And I'm thinking in my head, like, well, what the fuck do you want us to do? Nothing? Yeah. Like, do you want us just to let the venues just sit there and do nothing, or try, Like, I know it's not the same. It's not, we can't have people in there, but we're just got to keep this shit going, And it's going to change. Like, we're not going to see the same venues when we come out of this. Like, half of them are gone already. So it's either we embrace this and utilize it moving forward. It's not. And because I was touring around Canada the last 2 years, and I've noticed it's just like, this was happening already with music. It wasn't like COVID lockdown just tipped it over, and you've seen the scene for 20 years, and you've seen areas in Toronto that were bopping, and they're not the same. And, it's like, there was a change that was going to happen anyways with music, regardless of a lockdown. So saying all that, what's your take on that? And like, what's like your view on the live venue now? Like, what's your take?
My take on the whole thing, in terms of how it affects the live music industry.
Yeah, that, and kind of like, where do you see like the venues going, and or they survive?
Ideally, venues would implement this technology that we're talking about and make it a part of their programming, so that, if there are capacities that need to be enforced due to whatever guidelines, then they can get more of an audience tuning into their experience. And every venue invariably will have something different to offer, as part of their brand, to make it that much more attractive. If someone is inclined to spend a Friday night in, but really loves music, then they'll be able to find this stuff, local bars. If they happen to serve food, then they can have it delivered. And then it's like I was
that's even more incentive. Yeah, I get you.
I checked out As Bistro was doing that kind of thing, where they were streaming concerts once a week. Actually, no, like daily, like their daily music programming.
Yeah.
And then offering like a takeout menu, or like delivery, 3-course kind of prefix kind of thing.
That's great, because that keeps, people engaged. And then here's my take, is that people want to help. Like, they want local. They want to do that, but they just don't know where. They don't know. They're not aware. They're like, and you're giving them entertainment too. Like that's like, you know, it's the alternative. Honestly, it's like we can't go anywhere right now. You can't see anything, so the second best thing is just snuggle up and fucking listen to somebody play from a venue, you know. And it gives that authenticity too when you're actually at the venue. Like I was pretty lucky. We got to do those shows at the Painted Lady, and I'll tell you, like, it gave it a lot more validation of us doing it live from the Painted Lady. And I was lucky because I got to do a show on a stage, and I was like super blessed to be given that opportunity. You know, not everybody's been handed that opportunity, and it was like, oh fuck, I haven't done a show in 7 months, and it was really invigorating, like to boost my spirits up again to keep going. So it's so important. And just, I know there's fucking plexiglass there and all that shit, but that feeling of going back on the stage is not like nothing else. I can kind of like, I can relate it to like if you didn't drink for a while, if you got off booze for a long time and you just had one beer, like you didn't go and get hammered, but you just had one beer and you're like, oh fuck yeah, that's why this shit is good, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it was like. I got to go back when kind of they did the open mics under the radar in September. When I went back to do an open mic and I stood on the stage, I was like, oh yeah, that's why I did open mics for 10 years and I stayed up till 3 a.m. I fucking like waited 4 hours to play. I just fucking did all that for that little feeling of just, this is why we do this, you know?
10, 15
and
minutes,
yeah, it gave me this resurgence of like, you know, of when I started in the open mic scene. Like we were going to Not My Dog and all that, and it gave me that taste again. And it was like, I gotta do something. It's like, I can't just sit here and fucking let technology pass me by and my whole industry go ahead of me. So it's like I pulled in some big players, like a great camera operator and a great director. So we just 3 or 4 of us put this show together, and I'm pretty proud of it. And once we do get things going again, we're gonna get that going live on a weekly basis. And this thing I'm kind of just preluding so we can keep going and we can just keep talking about each other and giving ourselves a little bit of a platform. But eventually I like to have live guests here, and we can do some live performances here too. And but in the meantime, this is cool. You know, this is I never expected to be able to do this. I just talk to another fellow musician on a Friday night, just shoot the shit. And so where are you at? You're in the Dale still, right? You're in Parkdale?
No, I'm in Midtown.
Midtown. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we met in Parkdale in this little corner of a sliver of a hole called Not My Dog. It was a great little venue, and
I think
man,
the patio had a larger capacity than the bar.
Yeah, it was like everybody's waiting to go on is outside.
Yeah.
And the only person inside is the person performing.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it was really a fucking it was a really humbling place like that, where it was like, if people didn't like your shit, there was no fucking qualms about it. They just fucking turned around and left. And it really like, and at times it wasn't even against you. It's like people just wanted to go and smoke and or just like get some fresh air. But if people sat and watched you belt out of that shitty equipment, you were good. You knew you were made there. And it was like, you couldn't be a chump going there, man. You couldn't have it half-assed there. You would have to bring it. Like the level of musicians that came there, like elevated everybody else. And it just grew out of there. You know, like there's so much talent that, and you never knew. Like it was always Wednesday nights. You came on a Wednesday night, and you never knew what type of chaos would roll into that Wednesday night. You know, and
Yeah, it was different every single time.
yeah,
I'd had the opportunity to host the open mic uh, a few times, a handful of times,
yeah,
and every single time was different. It was like, so sometimes you'd have people like coming in and saying, "All right, can I get on the list at like 11 p.m.?" I'm like,
yeah,
"Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, sure." And then there
yeah,
were people that were just like, "This is my first time here. Who do I talk to?" I'm like, "Well, I'm your host. If you
yeah,
can play anytime and do your
yeah,
thing." And then it's just like most of the time the newcomers were the ones that were the like my favorite ones to watch
yeah,
because it was
yeah.
just like
Like,
they
oh, this is the
have,
place I'm supposed to be, and yeah,
yeah, pent up energy and they just let it out and I'm just like jaw dropped, you know.
yeah. I've met a few people there where,
A lot
I,
of hours
yeah,
and I think that what you were alluding to with the like if people didn't like your stuff it wasn't against you, it's that they just didn't like the stuff, um
no,
there were
I,
two I can I'm going to tell you about two particular instances in Parkdale that this had happened to me, and it was like it was a little bit of an initiation for me as like getting my hours, and
gotcha. Yeah,
so one time I was playing at the open mic at Not My Dog, and I decided I'm gonna play this song that I just because I had like switched. I went from smoking to vaping, and I
mm-hmm.
ended up smoking significantly less cigarettes at the time. So I was like kind of jonesing for a cigarette, but kind of not. So I
Yeah.
decided, here's a bright idea. I'm gonna write a song about cigarettes. So then I started playing it, and like everybody except for one person went out for a cigarette.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me.
And then the one person that stayed, they were like, "Oh, dude, great song, but like, read the room." It's like, all right, yeah, you're right, you're right.
It was
And
definitely a
it's
read the room type of place, man.
yeah.
And
And then there was this other time I'd played at Motel Bar on the other side of
oh
Parkdale
yeah,
for 6 years.
yeah,
It's one of the longer standing residencies that I've had, if not the longest. But very much like, once again, I'm in the trenches every single week. I got to get my
mm-hmm,
chops up so I could be the best piano player I could be,
mm-hmm.
and build the repertoire, just keep building the profile, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So at one point in my residency, I was using it for practice. I decided like more experimental. I decided I'm gonna play some accordion. So I
Yeah.
was doing all these other covers on the accordion, and this one person in the somewhere in the back of the room was like, "Play something you're good at, like piano." Yeah. So I
Yo,
called her
that's
out on it, and
yeah.
I got into like a little bit of a thing, and the tender was like, "Oh man, but she's so nice." I'm like, "Yeah, well, she said this," and then like the following week, apparently
Oh,
like, he had changed his tune about this person.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like it kind of like validated myself,
That's
just like the fact
hilarious.
that I gotta keep on doing what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what anybody says, right?
Yo, but that's like there's booze and then there's like burns that are
Yeah,
burns and like that's fuck. I not my dog, but I've had a couple moments at not my dog where it's like, what am I doing up here? It's just like I
yeah,
fucking had too much to drink and I've had moments where it's just like, wow, what just happened? That was incredible. It was but anybody that I really kind of had music collaborations with, I ended up meeting there. I just kind of like, I need this, like I need a flute player, and then their flute player appears there
yeah.
and fucking just. But As far as Parkdale is concerned, I didn't start there till like 2012, but I was 2011, 2010. I kind of like did the tail end of Cadillac Lounge there. I remember doing a gig there, and I was like, this is it. And then our band kind of like fell apart the next. So we had like one gig where I had a full band with me. And then I started playing. I met these kids from Edmonton at Not My Dog, actually, a couple years later. And we played at, what was the other one? The Sister.
Yeah.
Down the street. They had many different names, but that one I finally got a gig. That was my own booked show that I booked. And had a band there, so that band didn't survive after. But I remember a moment there. I went to an open mic at that one, and I just had like made a new song, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try it out here. And it's just like, if you don't have it with enthusiasm right off the bat, it's like people read you right away. And there was like a whole table full of people of just like, what's this guy gonna do? And I fumbled out of the gate, and the whole fucking table just collectively got up and left. And there's just like, nope, we're not handling this shit. And I was like, fuck. And you just got to eat it, because you got to keep going. You can't fucking like let it bug you. And then I get off, and I don't know who the open mic guy was. And he was just trying to be helpful or something. But he was just like, he gave me one of those pats on the back that is just like, don't do that unless you know me. He just patted me on the back. He's like, don't worry, you'll get him next time. And I'm like, you cocksucker. It's like, I tried something new, and I'm a veteran, and it's just like, it just didn't work out. But it's just like, you're just like, you got to eat it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, Not My Dog was a place really kind of where nobody really gave a shit. You know, it wasn't really like, oh, I'm offended by this, or like, I'm not into your music. Nobody just really gave a shit to judge. It was kind of like, if they liked your stuff, they just came up to you and they said, oh, I like that. That's like, it was a very intimate place like that, where if you, like, I remember saying a specific line in a song or something, and somebody coming up to me and be like, oh, I really like that line, you know?
Yeah.
You knew they were paying attention. And yeah, we had some fucking good nights there. That was that piano they had there too. That was a good one. And so what's like, so I know a lot of places have kind of closed in the city. What's one place that you can think of that's gone now that you have a good memory of? Or
Definitely the Orbit Room.
yeah, I remember going to that a lot.
Yeah.
Never played, but
every single time that I went there, and I had the opportunity to play there a couple of times, which was great, with my band Felix's Belt. They had a B3 there, a Hammond B3, which was just like, and anyways, but every single time I'd go to the Orbit Room, it would just be like the chillest atmosphere, you know, no judgment. You know, people were there for one thing and one thing only, to have a good time with great music.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter who was on stage. Like, you knew it was going to be good because the club was designed to have that programming night in, night out.
Standards were high. They had high standards for musicians.
Yeah. And before the first lockdown, I had received a call from the manager of the Orbit Room saying, here's what we're gonna do in 2020. You want to be a part of it? And I was like, well, yes, of course. You know, it was meant to be. But it was like early days, like March 2020, and he was like, well, I mean, we're just gonna wait it out for like 2-3 days, see what happens. And then the next thing I heard, like the next thing I checked about the Orbit Room, was like, we're sorry, but we're gone, you know?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Because I think, well, that's the thing too. It's like, I don't know how much touring you were doing around the country the last few years, but I've noticed that a lot of places are just like fucking teetering on closing anyways. So it's just like one lockdown just solidified that, and now another lockdown with the ones that are barely holding on are closing too, you know. And it was also kind of like a lot of changes happening in the city before that, like condos being built and ones being moved, and just not a lot of money into music in the city, you know, just a lot of factors going into those things closing. And on the same token too, it's kind of like I spoke to a audio engineer I work with about this, and I said, what's your take on this? And he goes, well, a lot of them, he's like, they didn't keep up with the times. They didn't, you know, they couldn't afford to keep up with upkeep, and they fell behind, you know. Some people don't want to go to these grungy places anymore. And some of them that are just music venues, you know, and that are only catering to kind of like the way things used to be, you know. And I think the ones that are like multifaceted, multi-purpose are the ones that are surviving, like Painted Lady, you know. They can adapt, they can do this, they can do a burlesque show, they can do you know, they can do comedy act, they've done all these different things, and they can have a patio as well. It's like these ones that are versatile, I think, that are ones that are going to survive. Like are you familiar with Burdock, that one on Dufferin? And
yeah,
so they're already kind of isolated themselves in a separate room as a venue. And I did a couple of gigs there, and I knew that they had some young people who knew their tech stuff, and their engineers were into that. And then because I was talking with the Painted Lady about all this stuff, I actually reached out to a lot of the venues to see what everybody was doing. And Burdock was the only one on this game, and they had their own infrastructure already intact. And they're doing lots of shows already, you know. So I think those are the venues that are going to survive after this, you know. And I think it's imperative, and it's also like it's just the way it's going to be with venues going into the future. Like this live element is going to be incorporated to it. And as well, like as we were talking about earlier, there's so many platforms and entities that you can put your music on now and sell it and all this shit. Why wouldn't you do it? It's like, if you go to a gig in town in Toronto, you can hit people from all over the world too that might be interested in your stuff as well as
that's true.
The 20, 30 people that come to your venue in the city, right? So, and back to what I was saying before about real time, people can see that stuff in real time. You're like, tomorrow we're going to be here in Ottawa, and then you're broadcast live from Ottawa, you know? I think it's going to be beneficial. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt the music industry. I think it's only going to help, or maybe quote unquote might not help the industry, but it's going to help people like us, like individual artists. And
exposure.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Exposure for a time was such a bad word for artists.
Yeah.
But now it's like, let's take our wins where we can get them. If Spotify metrics has taught me anything, is that you always got to be ready, because you never know if someone from Singapore is listening to one of the tracks off of your album.
Yeah, man.
You know,
there's so much so many avenues to go out now, and I like that you mentioned that term, because that term exposure used to be like work for free, you know. And this notion that the artist has no value is kind of like what I got a little annoyed with venues, you know. And I'm sure I'm not the only one speaking this opinion, but it's like venues almost like, because with the whole social media thing and all that stuff, they just put it solely on you, really, as the individual, as the artist, to bring in people. And I know it's like your responsibility to gather people, but it's like, wouldn't you want to like beef up your advertising as the venue as well? And I think that's where a lot of the venues fell behind too, where they were in this mode of like advertise radio and people will come. It's like the old way of thinking. And instead of like utilizing this social media to help them, you know, some people were on it, some venues were on it and utilized it well. But I think now with social media and a live aspect, the venues could do a little better, right? You know, and if I think what you said, you touched on it too, it's like the venues need to understand that this is like part of their business now. Yeah. It's part of their being a music venue, is to have this infrastructure to do live capabilities. You don't need, and what I was explaining to the venue as well, you don't need a whole $10,000 fucking DSLR Canon cameras. You could just have like a couple of handy cameras. Like most of these cameras do 1080 anyways, and just
like $60.
Yeah, it's not like you can get a couple web cameras, and a lot of these platforms and these programs are, you know, yeah, we've been chatting for like 50 minutes now. This is great. Wow. This is awesome. You're ready? Do you want to play some tunes for us? Do you want to?
Sure.
And is this part of your album that's already out? Like, we can find this everywhere?
Yeah, I was gonna play a tune called Quarter Time.
Speaking of that, I got my quarter here. Let's see, roll up.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, here we go. It's the first track off of Hot Takes. And the interesting thing about the album Hot Takes is that the track order is the order in which they were written.
Nice.
So it just turned out that way. It just made the most sense to me. And then listening to it from front to back, it just seems like a logical progression. Anyways, this is the first one. It's called Quarter Time. Don't need to hear it from me. And with the perfect. Seconds are moving one way. They ain't reversing. So get on with it. Tell me what you wait for. Ain't gonna stop. No. Tell me what you wait for. It's your time to get moving out. Stretch it out. Time to get down now. Yeah. You got the power to control procrastination. Kick all the habits and root your situation. Get down to business. Tell me what you waiting for. Ain't gonna stop. No. No. Tell me what you waiting for. Do it, now. Your time to get groovy now. Stretch it out. Your time to get down now. Yeah. Got to break it down like. Got to break it down like a quarter time. Got to break it down like a quarter time. Now, Bruno Mars, if you're listening, to this is how it's done. Yeah. Yeah, just that one's I'm gonna be releasing that one as an EP.
Nice.
Yeah, got a couple of associates that I'm working um, with remixes.
Nice.
So it's gonna be interesting to hear what these cats come up with this tune.
And when do you plan on releasing that one?
That's gonna be coming out on my 40th birthday, which
Ooh,
is
you're coming up to
April
four.
19th.
Oh boy, right around 420.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, man. I'm 42 in May.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on. So you've got the I can seek tutelage from you.
Of course, yeah. But I don't know how tootling it'll be. Speaking of
You're like, hey,
toodles,
focus. Toodaloo.
toodaloo.
Oh yeah.
Do you got another? Yeah, you gonna throw in another one for us there?
Yeah, sure. I got I'll play I might as well go in track order. This one's called How Are
Nice.
You?
Dr. Keys, everyone.
Take a step and slide back from this ego mess. Now take a breath. Turn around with the world. Like emotions getting high and coming down. Like emotion, take it from the other side and go. Yeah, yeah. You walk out of the don't keep your distance, shake your soul out, set yourself free. Be right how you feeling, yeah. How you feeling, yeah. How are you?
it's nice. Let me see if I can get a split screen again. Hold on. Let me refresh this. Oh, there we go.
And we're back.
Split screen. And we're back. Nice. Thanks, man. Thanks for serenading us with those nice tunes.
It's a pleasure to be a part of this.
Oh, there's my ding. That's Evan. I think he's almost ready to go. Yeah, so thanks for hanging out, man, and thanks for playing tunes, and thanks for letting us get to know you a little more, man.
Yeah. Buy hot takes.
So what's the what do you want people to look at? Hot takes, and I know April 2nd's coming up next Friday, Bandcamp Friday.
Yeah, I'll have a new video on that day. Actually, it was just working on a video for that song that I just played. How are you?
Gotcha.
It's pretty wild. I very good friend of mine, Christian Aldo, who's he's run the Super Wonder Gallery over the years in TO, a fixture. He was gracious enough to do some filming while I played Baby Grand piano from like the late 1800s.
Wicked. Yeah. Sounds cool, man.
It was totally cool. Got to wear a suit and everything, just like jazz it up.
I like the suits, man. I remember you had the suits down every time, and I remember like you had some nice entrances in Not My Dog with the suits, and it was just like that place was more about the entrance too. It was just kind of like how much of a shit, how fucking you gotta fucking be known when you get in there, man. It's just like it's just because it's like you're playing, people are playing, and you're interrupting their set while you're coming in. So it's like you better not do anything stupid. You better look good coming.
That's like one of the most pivotal learning experiences that directly involved Not My Dog was like stage management, like stage setup. You don't want to set anything up so close to the door.
In front of that fucking door, especially when the homeless just burst in all the time. Like, who can buy me a drink?
And the second thing is no band larger than 4 people. We tried having a 5-piece band in there. It was just nightmare. Like,
is this too much? And it's 4 is
where
good.
the band when the band outnumbers the audience, you know, you're that's not nothing. It's not gonna end well.
I've done that, and I've done solo gigs doing that. So I've outnumbered the fucking everybody in the vicinity. It's just like, yeah, okay, I'm playing for the staff tonight. Great.
Yeah.
Good warm up. Thanks.
Yeah. That's I guess that's one thing I don't miss about, live music not really doing its thing right now. It's like you don't run the risk of outnumbering the audience.
No, that's the benefit of these eyes too. Like sometimes I do a show and it says 40 viewers, you know what I mean? I'm like, you think in your mind, oh, okay, 40 viewers, not bad, but it's like that's a good fucking gig. That's well above the requirements for a gig here. It's like the requirements are like, can you get 30 people here? And that's a struggle. That's really fucking hard to get 30 people out here. But we're going to work on some stuff in the future. I got some tracks from you, and I'm going to take a listen to those. And I want to listen to them fresh. I want to give myself a moment of focus and just to like absorb them, and I'm going to grab them. And so stay tuned for that. Dr. Keys and myself working together.
Very much looking forward to that.
Very looking forward to that.
That's the next project. The thing that all this entire time has afforded me is the opportunity to just like take all the ideas that have been brewing in my head and just commit them. Yeah. I was actually like one of the tunes that I sent you was thanks to my Live from the Jam Space series on IGTV.
Sick.
I was just, got myself prepared. I'm really playing for nobody because you can't really take that, like, you have to take it into consideration, like,
Yeah.
naturally, like, as a brand, but as
Mm-hmm.
a person, you like, it's easy to detach yourself from that metric. So
Totally.
I was just
Yeah.
like, I was just doing a thing. I was just playing some piano, and out came a piece, and I was like, wow, this is like totally new. I don't care how many people like witness that, but
You
I'm gonna
captured the
like I
genie in the
ended up
bottle.
I ended up like listening, like playing back the video. I was like, oh, I guess one of like I maybe I guess I contributed like 2 extra views to that total on my channel. But yeah, I was like, that is so cool. I gotta like actually make something of that tune, you know?
I
And
hear you.
then it turned into something. It was just like, yeah, it's you'll hear it and you'll understand. And
Wicked.
yeah, really, I'm looking forward to seeing what you
I
can.
already have kind of an idea what it's gonna be, but I'm excited to listen to it, and we're gonna do some stuff really soon, and maybe we might be in the same room doing a live stream soon. Thank you so much for joining me, man. It's been 70 minutes. It just shit goes by like that.
That's great.
Thanks for chatting. And I'm going to get Aysanabee in here. He's waiting patiently. And I thank you very much, Dr. Keys. Check out all of his stuff, brand new material. And next Friday, get your butt or your wallet out there and spend a little money. Bandcamp was waiving all the fees for all us artists. So give us a little helping hand. And you're getting great stuff, man. Great high quality material. And check out other streaming stuffs too. So.
I'd like to bring attention to the fact that the next person that buys hot takes holds the distinction of being the fifth copy sold.
Well, I'm making my order on next Friday because I want to give you all the money, but I'm waiting until next Friday. But don't wait, people. Just buy it right away. If you want to have that impulse, get it now and get hot takes while it's hot.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, folks.
All right. Thanks, brother. Take care. Have a great night. Peace, man. So that was Dr. Keys. He is an integral part of the Toronto music scene and has been for a long, long time. Check out his album, Hot Takes. And I think he has another album called Breakfast Songs or something like that. But yeah, he's a great musician, great piano player. So check him out. And we have another guest standing by. He's a good friend of mine. And he goes by the name of Aysanabee, and we're gonna bring him in here and bring him into the show. Let's see if I can do this. Hey, what's going on, dude? Thanks for waiting, man.
Hey, no problem, man. That's that was great.
How you
Dr.
doing?
Keys,
So I'm
Dr.
gonna
Keys.
I'm gonna refresh us here to see if I can get split screen. Thanks, Dr. Keys. He was a great guest, and I'm just
Totally. Oh,
and no, doesn't want to play. Still thinks that the other feed is in. Give me a second. Doesn't want to play. See, let's see. We are going to ein moment. It's all me here doing this, folks. There we go. Now we're in business. How's it going? Let's we can change the background. How about there, we'll go a little blue. Or let's try and match your look here. I think that was already matching your look anyways. I think we're good. I think it was good. Don't beat anything. It's already good. Anyways, Aysanabee, thanks for joining us.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, actually, you're one of the few people that do. Most people
Well, I've
say
heard you say it.
most people say Asanabe.
Yeah, well, I'm really bad. I'm like Don Cherry with enunciation sometimes, so I'm trying to get better, and especially like hosting a show, I think I should
Yeah, at least
learn.
one of you are.
I'm not like Don Cherry at all.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a little dig.
Yeah, so you know, give us a little intro and about yourself, and yeah.
Yeah. Mason Abbey, OG Cree, singer-songwriter based in Toronto. Um, actually, this solo project, Aysanabee, was kind of happened over the pandemic because I play with a band as well. But obviously, that isn't happening right now. So, I've always kind of wanted to do some solo stuff in the past, but I just felt like there was never any time for it. Like, you work and then you got the band and then you get this so many things. But I finally had this time and this stillness to kind of sit down and work on it and think about it, really think about the project because I mean Aysanabee is my family name actually, and like I've always wanted to get more in touch with my roots and everything, and it's timing. Like I said, it's a weird thing. So yeah, no, it's been kind of like a year of kind of exploration, reconnecting, with myself, with my family. Like I have a lot of relatives, which it's crazy. Like
Recently discovered, like a lot of recently discovered relatives.
yeah,
Yeah.
this whole Zoom thing kind of opened up a lot of
Yeah.
doors too. Just you would be like, oh yeah, hey, it's me, your 12th cousin. Yeah. It's not weird just to gotta reach out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. Aysanabee, it's my family name. Well, you know me, like Evan Pang, right? And
Yeah, we know each other for a
Pang,
long time.
but a lot of people don't know that Pang actually isn't like has nothing to do with my family.
Gotcha.
My mother actually gave me she told me she gave me the last name Pang because she thought it'd be like it would be an easier life for me with an Asian last name than Aysanabee.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So this is kind of just me kind of reclaiming my roots, which I think is like, it's there's kind of a whole renaissance of the indigenous youth kind of just reconnecting with that youth or reconnecting with their roots. Sorry, because I mean the whole residential school thing. Like a lot of people like to think that it happened. It's like, oh, it happened in the past. Why don't you guys just like let it go? And like, it wasn't me that did
Mm-hmm.
that. But my grandfather was in a residential school. I talked to
That's not
him.
that long ago.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
talked to him.
like,
I talked to him on the phone yesterday. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It isn't like some picture in a history book. I'm talking
No,
to the history.
that's pretty present. That's yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's there's a lot of knowledge lost that people are really actually rediscovering and connecting and kind of undoing the harm that these schools did and tried to do.
Yeah, no, it's super important to get it out there. And I know just, uh, from myself, I wasn't, growing up, you're not really aware of that stuff too. It's not taught in history books. It's not taught in anything really. And, as far as I was concerned, it wasn't really brought to light. And like Gord Downey, I know he did a lot of things and a lot of exposure to that, and it wasn't really talked about in mainstream until a little around that time, and it's super important to know our history as Canada. We can't just sit here and be like, oh, Canada was just this country that people came to escape this and that. And it's like, no, we have a dark history too. There's a dark history in our real history of Canada. You know, it's not all, you know, raising sunshine in Canada. It's like
Yeah.
and yeah, there's like a whole Pandora's box of that, and I think it's super important, especially, you know, the youth to understand where the path led to. You know, it's like, and for everybody to be aware of it as well. You know, it's super important to know the history and the past so you don't repeat it, right? And yeah, and so finding out all this is that, like, obviously, you know, taking a different angle with your name and all that, is it really kind of shaped you as an artist this last year? Like, is it your I know you've always been like a specific type of artist, like a style and that, but has it really, like,
I think
you found like this is what your main angle is? You know what I mean? Like, now it's like you say you're finding your roots, but it's like, it's really helping you as a whole as a musician. I can see.
Yeah, well, it's really definitely like a journey of self-discovery, right? And with that, like, comes like a lot of, like, you know, it's a lot of personal things, but also kind of like a lot of you know, a little bit of like, I don't know if like insecurity is the right word for it, or you know what I mean, like this is a journey of self-discovery, but I feel like, I don't know, you know, I don't want people to, I don't want people to think of it like as an angle, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, it kind of like, I'm not like using, you know, using the native thing to kind of do music. It's kind of like it's a real, it's opened up doors where you know, I'm being like very open kind of in music in a way that I haven't been before, I guess. You know?
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, like, it's now you're talking about you know, discovering things and stuff like that, and you had a road trip this past summer where you and your partner just spontaneously went and well, you guys did some planning, but you went and had a trip, and how did that if you wanted to talk about that a bit, and how did that change you musically? Did it, like, you know, re-inspire you as a musician? Did you you know, get recharged or whatever, or just
I definitely
get away and like
I definitely say recharged for sure. Like, I think well, it was like, you know, there was a lot of like, should we be doing this? Like, you know, it was last summer. You know, like, you know, the guidelines were stay home, right? Like, don't be.
I think they were kind of like, in the summer they were recommended. Like, you could
they
drive,
like,
but it wasn't like don't fly. I think it was just kind of like, if you're like, gonna go, make sure you take time to, like, within place. But you guys were driving, so it was like
yeah. So that was the thing. Like, we like, I knew if we were gonna travel somewhere, I wanted to go and to be in some mountains. So I'm not even actually sure how it came up about just renting a converted van, but like, we ended up doing that, and it was just, but it worked. Like, it just, the more we like thought about it and like started like looking into it, the more it made sense. Just because it was kind of like a traveling bubble, right? Like, it's a converted van, so you got like your sleeping quarters, your fridge, and the storage for all your, you know, your stuff and your canned goods. And so we tried to like pack as much. 1 second, I'm just gonna turn off this reverb in here. That's kind of
non-perishable items.
There we go.
Guess you'd say.
Yeah. So we tried to bring as much stuff as we could, so we can just like keep the smallest footprint possible. So we weren't like, you know, it was a pandemic. You know, we don't want to be those guys who are just like, you know, oh, we're out of our zone, so we're, you know, party time, which happened a lot. You know, I saw a lot of, even a lot of my personal social media, you know, I saw a lot of people kind of skirting the rules a little bit, and you know, I get it. You know, it's, you're trapped in your house for so long. When you see some people and whatever, sometimes it's easy to let loose. But like, I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to do that. Like I've been reporting on these stories and the guidelines for months at that point. I knew better. I knew what was going on around the world and the science behind it a bit. And like, so like this whole thing, it just seemed perfect. It was like, we can go and we can see things. Like, so like we didn't go to like cities. We went to like just these really rural forests, mountains, lakes, all across Canada in this van. Um, yeah, like we didn't expand the bubble at all. We just kind of, this bubble just kind of
Stayed in your own
floated around the country into some
bubble on
mountains and
wheels.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And we did stop by my house though, the house I grew up in, where my mom lives.
In
And,
Thunder
like,
Bay, for everybody
yeah.
listening. Thunder Bay, right? Yeah, you grew up in Thunder Bay.
And so I think that was probably as social as we got. And
Mm-hmm.
but it was good. Like, it was great. Like, I hadn't seen my mom for years at that point. Like,
Yeah, that's a long trek up to T Bay. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a good one.
Well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say years. I think I saw it like a year before that or something. I'm not
Yeah.
saying years. I haven't seen her for decades.
You've changed so much.
But it felt like I hadn't seen her for years.
Yeah,
I feel
for
like
sure.
so much has happened. She'd been like, she's been down to Mexico a bunch of times. She's weird because she never really traveled before, and I don't know. I guess now that all her kids are gone, maybe she's just like, see
Time
what's
to roam,
up.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
have you guys holding me back anymore.
Exactly. Expenses.
Yeah.
Food, feeding these guys.
Yeah. Oh, I have all this food money.
Yeah.
I guess we can go everywhere on this.
Yeah.
No, it's so yeah. No, it was great, and honestly, like I had actually done a road trip across Canada before, but like I never. The original goal was to make it to Tofino the first time,
Mm,
but we just never made it, and
Gotcha.
and so this time we actually made it like all the way in this van,
that's awesome.
all the way to Vancouver Island and to Tofino, and really wanted to try surfing off that coast, but we were trying to find like a private surf lesson.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, like, they were all booked up. They had like a group. They had a group thing, but we were just kind of like, we stuck to our guns of just being like, yeah, we're not gonna.
Yeah, no, that was good.
We're not gonna go out and do the thing. We're not gonna do the thing. We're gonna be really responsible.
Yeah, you don't want to get all the way out there and just get it from some fucking random hippie or something. It's just like
Yeah, well, like I just well, it's. I think I was more worried about like like if we went out there and super
hippies.
spreader
I love
event,
you. I'm a
super
hippie,
spreader,
but-
super spreader event. It's just like
Yeah.
me and Maggie's picture, just like
super spreaders across the
I-
country.
yeah. They don't do that. I think they only do that in
No.
Florida, where there's
No.
privacy laws when it comes to media.
Yeah. No, that's cool, and that's kind of what I want to ask you about the next question. And I've been on a podcast with you before, and we talked about like, if and when venues open up, and I ask this to every musician now because this is like what's coming up. The weather's changing, and how are we gonna change? How are we gonna? We might not have venues, so. And you've always had this cool idea of like playing outside and stuff like that. I think that's where I'm going to go eventually with this. Once the weather gets good, I have a backyard here, and we're going to turn the backyard into performance area as well. But where do you see yourself adapting, and like how do you see it? Like what's...
Well, I think it's definitely gonna be like the hybrid model. Like I'm probably
Yeah.
still do a stream here and there. But yeah, I think we were talking about like setting up some pop-up shows. So I have like this little portable like PA that's battery powered, and so I was thinking like once restrictions starts easing and maybe we can you're able to gather outside, and like with when it comes to events, just kind of setting up these like pop up shows in cool locations around Toronto, and where you can set it up in a safe way and spread everyone out, and just kind of maybe get a couple artists, and maybe each artist just kind of brings like 5 people or something. Yeah, just a real cool,
kind of like an exclusive show.
yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say exclusive. It's just the way it has to be. And we can't really like go, yeah, 1,000-person rave in the forest. Like I think last summer they were allowing 25 people to gather outside.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
So I think something around, maybe like 20 people or something, and it's just kind of, there's so many cool little spots around the city where you can just kind of set up and see what happens, and yeah, I mean, what else is there? I mean, all the venues are closed. They're not going to be open for a while.
Like we might not even have a place open for another month, so we might even dip into mid-April. And I've always kind of like envied comics with this whole streaming era and podcast era, and comics have been able to really shine now because the podcasts have really helped them, and I've seen how they adapted over this lockout, and a few of my favorite comics are doing just pop-up shows everywhere like that. They were doing that. They're just like a rooftop pop-up show, and it's it's easier to manage with somebody with just a microphone, but the sets that we do are pretty manageable. Like you have a guitar with a mic. I have backing tracks with a mic. It's totally doable, and we could do it in these. We don't have to necessarily be live at the moment. We can do these cool things and give it to you the next day. So. But I think it's easier to do the live thing. It'll be easier eventually.
Well, honestly, like I saw last year. There was a few buddies of mine that I saw, like, they had somehow snagged these like rooftop gigs on like someone's house, and they managed to like set it up cool with some lights, kind of make this cool. And I think that'd be the best. But I was just like, man, I need friends with roofs.
Friends with high roofs.
I need friends in high places.
I need friends in high places.
And it's I was like, man, I guess I'm just not. I guess my friends all live in basements. I don't know. like I need some roof friends. I need some people.
I need some roof friends. Hey, folks with roofs, hit us up, man. We're gonna play.
If you got roofs, slide into the DMs.
We're your friends, man. Roofie us. You can roofie us in the DMs.
We'll be our friends so we could use you.
Yeah,
for your roofs.
It's a use relationship. So just you know what it is getting into it. So let's. Roofs music. God. Come on.
Yeah.
Actually, a good friend of my sister's, I ran into him in the beaches here, and he just bought a condo at Woodbine and Queen there, and he's got a nice open rooftop. So I was there, and I was like, it'd be cool here. It's like
well, that's where it gets tricky with
a music night,
when it's kind of like a public setting like that. Like I think with the roofs that I saw, it was like all like just kind of these like small little house.
Well, this is his condo. It's his place, right? So I
meant, but is like the condo building. There's like 1,000 people that live in the building or something.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't do it loud. I wouldn't be like. It would be earlier too, but yeah, I think as long as you let everybody know, you're like, hey, this is what I'm doing.
1,000.
Yeah, fucking 1,000 people.
I put a poster in the lobby.
Nobody got back to me, and I figured it was fine, so I just went ahead with it. Oh. But yeah, I like the idea of like, and I don't know how many people are into this right now, but I've been looking into the Skylink thing. With that new internet service, and even if you can get a 5G phone, you can kind of like use it as a hub in the middle of nowhere, and you have that battery powered amp or whatever, And I know there's generators out there now that you can get that are
Yeah.
kind of silent. You know, they're like electric generators, and you're not gonna hold like, you know, a whole band like that much power. But the stuff that we do, you know, like one instrument, maybe two instruments with a mic, and me and my backing tracks, doesn't take a whole lot of power, you know, and you can do a basic setup. So, and there's plugs in certain places, so it's just like doing some scouting and finding out where there's some power,
Gotta find the
stealing
hottest.
some stealing
Someone
some
should make
city
an
power.
ad for that. Someone should make an
Yeah.
ad for that. There we go.
Well, there's in the beaches here, there's the gazebo, and there's like a dozen outlets, and I don't know, Parks and Rec, who's ever is in charge, locked them up because homeless people were sleeping there. And high-tech homeless people, they had their laptops out and their smartphones, and they were charging them.
That's still
But it's
so
like-
sad, though. It's kind of like, it's like, wow, is the city that hard up that they gotta like, oh yeah, there's gonna be like a 20
I think
cent
it's just
electricity
honestly,
bill coming in. Like we
no,
gotta,
it's not them, because I called Hydro and I asked them, and Hydro said they had nothing to do with it. It's the parks that decide to put the locks on. But
Well,
I
that's
think,
that's what I mean. Like it's kind of.
But
like,
I
it's
think
not,
what it
even if-
is it's a rich neighborhood. So I think people complain, and they just have nothing to do but complain. And they're like, I don't want people on my gazebo when I'm not using it. It's like,
Oh my God.
so I tried.
They don't own it.
I tried to ask the parks guys, and they were like, "Oh, we don't have anything to do with it." So I think it's just a matter of like, well, you and I walked down there, and people were doing a play, and we talked to them, and we're like, we tried to talk to the city people, but nobody's answering the phone. So I think, you know, there'll be a push, like there'll be enough people in the neighborhood that'll push for that to be used, you know, and things like that around the city. If there are no more venues again, like, what do you expect us to do? Like, you're just gonna lock up these power outlets, and
I think that's what I'm worried about with the pop-ups, because I'm like, I haven't done the research into like saying like, even if there's any permits of it, but like it's the whole thing about being pop-ups is like, I kind of want them to just be in cool different locations, not the same. Like, oh, here's this little gazebo. You know, I'm gonna play there
I
every
just
time.
using it as an example.
No.
but
Like the
it's
gazebo, the gazebo's great. Like I don't mean to like be like, oh,
Yeah.
gazebo, but I mean, you know, like because they do have the gazebo in a couple parks around the city where they do have schedule the events. But I would like to like kind of just.
What are you envisioning? Like, what's like just somewhere in the middle of nowhere where it's like, oh, we're here, and like, because you had a couple locations that you were kind of
yeah.
Too,
I mean,
right?
like there's like some there are places in the middle of nowhere, like, you know, kind of like these little outdoor areas close to nature, but then there's also these really urban areas that are just kind of like, you know, like
need attention,
well, just
or just
space,
visually
just nice,
cool.
just nice space that obviously, definitely be visually cool. Like I have this one place in particular, but I don't want to say it.
No, it's
I want to use it.
Secret, a secret location.
But yeah. So we'll see.
Is there anything specific you want to plug? Like, I know you just had a release. Was it last Friday?
Yeah. I released a song called "Howling" with a lyric video. Yeah. I mean, check that out, guys. I think it's on all the streaming platforms now. Yeah, that was my second release from this new project, and it was kind of a lot different than the first release, where I was just kind of getting my feet wet with this whole, you know, home recording, self-producing, self-mixing, and mastering, and, you know, kind of doing everything on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one, I definitely, you know, I wanted to be a little more, I guess is the you know, like it was just more up tempo, a lot more intricate, you know, a lot more parts, a lot more guitar parts, and so even you know, faster drums and kind of I'm excited. I was excited to release it, and I, you know, I'm working on an EP right now, which will be hopefully ready by the summer. But as far as plugin stuff, yeah, I got 2 singles on my Aysanabee, Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. If you guys are
Here, if
feeling
anybody's
generous.
in the chat, I'm going
Yeah.
to put your IG in the chat, and people can check you out. Yeah, do you want to play a couple jams for us?
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, so you can play a couple jams, and then we'll come back and chat and finish the night out.
Sure. All right, I'm gonna play a song I wrote a couple years ago. It's called "Reasons." Not sure if this song will. I'm not sure if I'll ever record this song. Maybe I'll do it for fun one day whenever I find time. But
Gotcha.
if not, this might be
Exclusive.
an exclusive watch, a focused exclusive.
We got it here, folks.
Reasons.
They don't need your handouts. But it's time and as desire sleep now. Tried it once and tried it twice, don't work out. Something's got to give now. Oh, 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 there ain't no reason for this. Oh, 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 there ain't no reason for this. God is fighting for his slaves now. Clawing, clapping, even begging, please, trying to get your way up to the table. This church won't know anything will do now. So wait, oh, wait, oh, wait, oh, wait, oh, wait, ain't no reason for this. 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 Ain't no reason for this.
Cool.
All right, man. Sounds awesome.
Sick.
So that one is exclusive, folks. You heard it exclusively here.
I haven't played that one in a while.
Would you like to do another one?
Yeah. Let's see which one I'm gonna do. There we go. gonna do a little love song called You. How's it sounding, by the way? Is there anything I need to
Sounds
adjust?
good. Yeah, no, it sounds good to me. I don't know about the viewers, but I think it's I think we're coming through okay.
Cool. All right. It's a song called You.
If only for a moment, if only for a minute, I won't close my eyes, don't miss it. If only for the night, if only for a minute, I wanna be old, keep it with you. With you. If only for a second, if only for a short while. I don't wanna waste words, want it to be forever. If only for a night, if only for a little bit. I don't wanna waste time, let the fire burn bright. With you. With you. I wanna get lost and I wanna be found dead. I wanna be high and I wanna get away. I wanna stay and I wanna get astray. I wanna take rules and I wanna break them with you. I want for it, things I come forever. In the morning, it feels like I'm going I want to get lost and I want to get found. I want to get high and I want to get away. I want to go
Something like that.
Lovely. Very nice.
I worked
Let's
up a
see if
little
we can
sweat
get
there.
Yeah, it's like a real gig, man.
Yeah,
Let's,
it's like the real thing. I think
yeah,
it's
let
just
me-
light actually. This thing's actually pretty warm.
Let me see if I can get our split screen back. I'm going back and forth here. Still haven't figured this out. I just
Do you got a spotlight going on you as well, or is it just is your room just a lot brighter than mine?
Kadabra, we're back. All right, that was great. You know what? You and I have been hanging out for a while. We've known each other for like 4 or 5 years now, I think.
Yeah.
Done a couple shows together. I really miss listening to you live, man. Honestly, it's we've done a lot of shows together, and it's like in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes you just like you don't see it while you're doing it, but once I never knew that we were gonna have a break like this, and it was like, fuck, I'm so glad we got all those gigs in, and lots of fun. We did a few at the Burdock. We did Piston. We did Painted Lady. A couple good birthdays of mine. It was good times, man.
The Junction City.
Yeah, the Junction was the last one we did. Was almost a year ago, and that no, that was one of the last live ones I did. That was the last live one I did in Toronto as a gig, and then the first week of March I got to go to Montreal, Quebec, and all. I did like 6 gigs. I was lucky. I booked all that, and
Nice.
yeah, that was the end, man. Fucking
Yeah,
a
yeah.
year. Fuck.
I think
Because you did one I saw you recently a while ago, but that was kind of like
Yeah. Actually,
On the
I was
low,
gonna say, I was like, oh yeah, the last gig I did was in last March, but yeah, I totally forgot. Actually, yeah, I played a gig for Music City North at Free Play.
Free Play.
Free Play.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I love that. The venue's cool. Like, it's an interesting setup for music, but I'm really glad that at least someone's supporting music still, or
Yeah.
is people who can do it are doing it, I should say. But when they set it up, yeah, they had this like tiny little
phone booth, almost kind of like
this tiny little enclosed kind of
DJ. It was almost like a DJ booth, kind of like
yeah.
glassed-in area.
I kept thinking of like Ron Burgundy and his like
I'm in a
emotion
glass
turned-
case
yeah.
of emotion.
But it was like I was excited for it, but then once I played it, I was just like, I don't know, man. Like I'm really
Yeah.
glad they're trying to make it work, but it was so weird playing in this box. But then like everyone, some of our friends came out, but all the tables were also kind of like
Yeah, I came and
closed
I was
off.
like,
and you just couldn't.
distance, but not really, like.
Yeah, you were. Oh yeah, and you can say hello, right? Like it's kind of it
No.
was weird. Like I'd like to
Yeah.
be like, thank people for coming out, talk, say hello, but it's like you play, and then you guys are just sitting in like your different cells, and you can
It's a weird feeling because it's like you have all these motions when we do gigs, right? It's like
Yeah.
people show up, you haven't seen them for a while, you hug them, you like, embrace them, have drinks, you talk close, loud, you know what I mean? There's all this stuff that comes along with a gig, and then this is all gone. It's like all that shit that surrounds it, right? Like
yeah. I don't even know what venues are gonna survive this, man. It's been a year now, and like there's no real prospect. I feel like the arts are kind of at the bottom of the list of what's considered priority. It seems like.
yeah.
Like I don't think anyone's like I don't know. Have you heard of any plans for artists?
No,
I mean,
well,
they throw a little money here and there, but I mean,
nothing. Like other than like we were like Nikki and I working together just to keep music going there, but we didn't. I did this out of my own pocket, and people that helped me did it out of their own time, just because we love live music,
well,
but I don't see where any money is coming from. There's no, like, there's nothing to keep these things afloat, really, honestly. And if they're just sitting there empty and having to pay high rent, it's only a matter of time before you can't do it anymore.
I feel like I should know like a lot more about like how that works. So like forgive me if I sound like super naive, but like when like the city is like like giving like all these like rent subsidies, is that I guess that was a federal thing, but like is that money like it goes to
I don't want to get
owner? It goes to the owner, and then they give it back to the city, and it's just like the city's money. Like it's.
I don't want to start fucking going off of my government shit because we don't have enough time. But I think I think a lot of entities got bailed out that didn't need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the businesses, and I think big box industry that got money that didn't need it, and it's like I think it's just laziness with politicians. I don't think there's any like evil incentive to keep corporations going. I think it's just laziness, and it's just like it's not our money. Like the money's just going to save these companies, and we're doing our thing to keep the economy going, and not looking at the actual overall picture of like small businesses and venues and people that are self-employed are the economy. You know what I mean? It's like you're not really helping us by keeping those big box stores, helped. It's like the small business needs help too. And
wait, were the big box stores a part of that whole tax thing, or the whole rent thing?
I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think I know a lot of companies got like bailouts.
I have no idea. That was a question.
Big bailouts, and but I do feel like there should be some sort of money allocated for arts, and I don't know. It's like don't deem them just as an alcohol provider. I think that's what the problem is like they're just looked at as like places where people consume alcohol, but it's like a lot more than that. It's a place where people can enjoy a beverage while listening to music, and I don't think there's a lot of like understanding of that value of what it provides to the society, and I don't think it articulates into a politician's mind. And when it comes to budgets and numbers, it's not laid out on the table as a moneymaker. But I just know this by doing gigs, and you see people come out and that's their night out. That's their fucking night out to enjoy something and enjoy local talent and maybe get like that, stress relief they need to go and see somebody. And it's so much more than just a dollar value. I think it's just like without arts and culture, the society is just fucking doomed, and we kind of need it. We need it as to make it valuable again. You know what I mean? It's like, I always see this one post where it's like, try living without music. You know what I mean? Go do all your day-to-day things. And it's like, you can there's lots of catalogs of movies.
Yeah, that I think about that a lot when I'm watching movies too, when I'm just like, there's like a really dramatic scene, but then I just try to imagine it without the music, and it's just like someone staring for like.
Yeah, it's like it's an integral part of everything we do and everything every day, It's like, but I don't think the way it's looked at through, budget eyes is like, well, it's not bringing in money, so it's like, where I think sometimes it's looked at as like when they have festivals and they can have all this other shit around it that would bring money into the city, you know what I'm saying? So they don't look at the shit that you and I do.
I'm just like so confused as how like these venues have been afloat for a year, because like I have a friend who has a restaurant, and she moved, but when she was down over on Queen Street, she was paying like $8,000 a month or something crazy like that.
Maybe they are getting some sort of subsidies, but I don't know.
I'm just wondering, like, for this venue that's closed down, maybe it has like 2 seats on the patio where a couple people ordering a $10 beer or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how that can equate to
Well,
$8
I
grand.
don't
$8
understand
grand a
either
month.
because I was hanging out at the Painted Lady all the time trying this live stream out,
But-
and I remember being there all day, and they're serving like 2 people all day, and it's like, where,
great.
how they have no money coming in? There's 3 staff people here, they have to pay those people. There's rent, there's electricity, there's all this shit.
Yeah.
Where like, and
But
I
how do
don't
you
know.
like convert those spaces into? Like, I guess you were doing the streaming thing there, and like,
Well, here's the
you-
thing. I was just going to get into that is there is a committee. There's like a bar and restaurant committee. And then I think they have like a side committee. I might be wrong. There's like a side committee of arts and entertainment where they're like in this category. So they had a meeting and they're like, we need to make council aware that we are part of this arts and entertainment. We're not just a place that serves beer, it's an integral part of us to stay open in some sort of fashion to provide music to the community. And she got us written in as a film crew, right? So we were like, even though you weren't allowed to have people in there, we had a very small crew. There was 3 of us. And we were quote unquote deemed as a film crew. So as long as we locked the door behind us, and that was good from like September till middle of December. And then they had the full lockdown, and it's just like, well,
were there not still people filming though all through even the lockdown? Like, was there not still TV shows filming? I'm pretty sure there was.
Maybe there was there, but I wasn't in contact with anybody there since then. Maybe it was just like if you didn't say anything about it and you just
well,
did
like
it.
these are like big shows, like big crazy.
Oh, where are you
big
talking
TV
about?
shows, like, I'm not gonna get into detail. Like,
I get it,
I have actor
friends.
friends who I'm pretty sure they were acting through that.
Oh,
filming these big things. And
those were deemed as like, but
That's
maybe they
essentially
couldn't. Here's the thing: is like I know maybe it wasn't worth them to stay open all day. It was costing them too much, and they were helping me to kind of like.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Like, I was just
Nikki was helping me to kind of like make this thing happen too. You know what I mean? They didn't. I don't think they had to keep the doors open for a while. Like she was trying to help accommodate me with this thing, and she has such a passion for music and wants to keep it alive in this city that she got behind what I was doing, what I was trying to sell her to. So, I don't know. I think it's really in our hands. Really, we're going to dictate this industry going forward, and I think everything is just going to fall around us, like as individual artists. It's like everything's just going to cater to us, to how we present it, and I think more than ever we have control, and it's like the industry is going to look at artists like us that are doing our own thing. We're just doing our own thing and getting it out there, and that's what's going to work. That's what's going to resonate. Community like this, and that's what's going to shift this whole change, and I think there's a lot of positive out of this, where it's like I was saying to Mr. Keys before, it's like now you can really engage with your fans. Like there's a good opportunity to have like your own following, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter where you play. You can play in your living room or a park somewhere. So I don't think it's really as important anymore to be at a venue, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's kind of that's a sad thing too to think about.
It is very sad because I miss that.
That was like, like where most musicians kind of made their money now, because you get like, I don't know, like a hundredth of a penny for a stream or something like that.
Yeah, that shit's fucking crazy, but it's like,
doesn't it take like 6 million streams or something to make some
for
or something?
Spotify is 1 million streams is $5,000. So that's 5,400 for 1 million streams for Spotify.
Okay,
Spotify,
so like So it's
pays
just
the lowest.
So 6 million streams, and you're making minimum wage, essentially.
Pretty much. That's just one entity. So that's like, and Napster pays 3 times. There's other ones that pay a lot more, but that's I understand that. Yeah, that's like, but on the other hand, there's like a lot more potential to, you know, market your catalog into other places and get a bigger stretch with social media now more than it with live streaming as well too.
I
right?
know it's just so exhausting though, because there's like 1,000 social medias now, and there's only gonna be
I know.
like, oh, now I gotta get this, now I gotta get that, now I gotta.
So much, but this
You know what I
is
mean?
just like fucking Wild West shit. Like it's coming out. There's all this shit and all this technology, and I think once, I don't know, people get vaccinated and all this stuff, and there's going to be a rhythm that it sets into eventually, and this will be part of it. But, you know, in the meantime, this is what we're doing, and this is the best we can do.
You know, exactly.
It's not bad, you know, to be able to do this on a Friday night. And,
for sure.
And
but I definitely don't want to see venues phased out, though. That's what I'm getting.
No, I don't.
Let's keep them alive. Let's keep them alive.
Yeah.
Because there's something to be said about just playing and then actually, you know, getting some energy back too. You know, like I you know, I was used to playing at least a couple shows a month or something, and it's just kind of like when I went to playing to, you know, my phone or to my laptop, and then you're so in the moment, and you're feeling it, and then you finish. And then you just open it, it's just like you're looking at this piece of plastic, and you're like, you know, shit.
The monolith rules us again.
Because it's kind of like, you know, an exchange of energy sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's very needed, as like I said with comics too, right? Like I don't know how fucking comics are dealing. They're dead. Without the audience, you really have nothing. Like, so at least
unless you're practicing, but like when you
play
set it
out, like we could play out as musicians, but as comedians, they need that. But we need that too. Like we need that back and forth energy. And you know what? That's, I was saying to Matthew earlier, was that there's nothing like that feeling. And it's like I was lucky enough to go back to the Painted Lady a couple times in the fall and do some open mics. And even though there was like 3 or 4 musicians there that we all came, and I think one night there was like 10. But that was like great, just to get off stage and somebody to pat you on the back and say good performance. You know what I mean? That was just like, I miss that. And also I played with Nelson, so I got to play with one musician, which was huge, right?
Well, it's an exchange of energy, is what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's
what keeps us doing this, really. Kind of like that little bit of energy can go a long
way.
Well,
for the performing part, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I can sit in this room and practice by myself, but you know, I'm taking little breaks here and there. I'm kind of like thinking it out. But I feel like when you put it into like a performance format, and you're like, yeah, everyone come to this, you know, come to my my Instagram stream or whatever, you know, like you kind of, you know, you have your set and everything. So it's like, just putting out that energy, that performance energy, and not getting that crowd at you back. Well, maybe I have my phone set up in my closet over there when I do the Instagram stuff. So maybe there's some hearts,
closet fans.
Yeah, my closet fans.
We got jokes here, folks. Jokes. Do you want to play one, or you? How you feeling?
Yeah.
You want to play one out for us? So you can play it, and we'll just come back and have a little.
So I played this song for the stream thing that's happening soon in the future. But it was like it was considered like a G-rated performance, so I couldn't really like kind of
family.
Really get into it, right? Like, so this is a song I wrote like you know, I work in the news, right? So it's like, you know, one day we had back in May, this video come in, and you know which video I'm talking about. It was, you know, it's a man on the ground, and then another man put his knee on his neck. It was the George Floyd video, And I remember watching this video and just like, I sickened. Sickened is the best word I can use to describe it, because I mean it's
That's the perfect adjective. Yeah, it's just sickening.
It-
It's just disgusting.
and it's just like, I had to get up and just get away from my desk and kind of just, and we're all in lockdown, right? Like no one was around. I was here working from home and didn't feel like talking on my phone, so I just picked up my guitar and started playing, and most of the song fell out, and I think I finished it a couple days later, and I was just kind of, I was just so disturbed by the debates around this whole video, that there even was a debate,
Yeah.
like like people. I saw people being like, oh, he has this history, and I just like, come on, guys, like
It's a human being.
let's like the whole thing. I think the whole thing was started over a $20 bill, right?
Yeah.
And that's definitely not why it's there's systemic issues, definitely racism, and it's just like, it's the commentary afterwards, just I think was the hardest thing for me. Even seeing like on social media, even seeing like friends kind of just not getting it,
Yeah.
like was just such a heartbreaking thing for me. And trying to explain it to people who, I'm closer with, who didn't get it and didn't really get the real issue at play was, and this guy didn't choose to be a martyr. It happened to him, man.
Yeah.
And
This girl just happened to catch it on camera.
Yeah, and of the many times, I'm sure it's not caught on camera.
Yeah.
And just gets swept under the rug.
Thousands of times. Yeah.
Anyways, it was just, this whole commentary that it's just like, we're the most advanced civilization ever to be on the earth, and yet we still can't just come up with like the basic concepts of just respecting each other, feeling empathy for each other.
Yeah.
Trying to treat people how you want to be treated, and kind of,
Basic things.
Because I'm really trying to understand these people who even have to debate it, that systemic racism wasn't an issue there, and yeah. So I mean, I wrote this song, and I guess it wasn't really even a reflection. It wasn't like it just kind of spilled out. It was just kind of like a guttural emotion, I guess, is like the best way to describe it.
Well, thanks for sharing that, man. That's it's very insightful where the song came from, and it's good to share that. And yeah, that was something you can't explain. You just sometimes you just put it into a song. Aysanabee.
That is the way, that is the quiet. It shall not be still. Slow, feet on the ground, overhead. Slow down. Is your heart be still? Both feet fall down for myself. These strings come from somewhere else. It feels like last night. Both eyes fall, and I scare myself toward nothing else. You come tell. These days seem like deja vu, same story, same new song. These days seem like deja vu. Heartbeat goes every step. Heartbeat goes every breath. Don't get back, don't get back, don't get these days. You seem like deja vu, same story, same new song. These days you seem like deja vu, stuck in the place, stuck in the place. Oh, these days you seem like deja vu, same story. Tell no news. These days you seem like deja vu. These days you seem like deja vu, same story. Not that new. These days you seem like deja vu, stuck in a place, stuck in a place. Oh, these days you seem like deja vu, same story. Oh no, the news. These days you seem like deja vu, so heavy on, oh heavy on. These days seem like deja vu, same story. Somebody knew. These days you seem like deja vu.
Nice. Thanks, man.
Oh,
Come
thanks,
back to me here and try and get my split screen back here. There we go.
Oh, looks like it's just me. Oh, there we go.
There we go. We're back. Hey, we got 5 viewers. Welcome,
Nice.
everybody. How's it going?
Yeah.
So
I played that song. I played that song, at that stream, and I just didn't know how to kind of explain that to potentially a kid audience. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
how do you explain that to kids?
You just do. I think you just and I guess whoever the adult is there with them, it's up to them to explain.
I guess it
So,
depends on what. I don't know. What are we
Yeah.
talking about? I feel like kids are a lot
I don't
smarter.
know.
Teens are a lot smarter. You know, with I don't know, man. Like
Kids are way smarter than we give them credit for, and they absorb so much, even though they're might not communicate.
Well,
on
I
the
think
same
they
level as us. They
access to so
understand.
much with.
Yeah.
I when the I'm aging myself here, but like I didn't always have the internet.
Half my life, bro.
And
I'm a
so-
2020 kid, man.
And so, you know what? Like, yeah, like obviously, Yeah, like my childhood was like riding bikes and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you'd actually call your friends on the landline,
Yep.
and
If you miss the call, you miss the
now
call.
everyone has like a little computer in their pockets, even kids. They have like little smartphones, and it's just kind of like access
With
to any info they want.
everything. It's crazy.
That's like some
Crazy.
future. That's like the
Yeah.
futures, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, I was conflicted, like about like, is like, I don't think we should like not talk about these things, but because there was the whole, well, I signed a contract that said, so I was kind of held to it. But I was like, I think these are good conversations to have.
Absolutely.
Like, I think talking about these serious issues at a younger age is good, is a good thing. Just kind of.
Oh, and that's what I've observed and noticed with kids nowadays, like especially kids that are under 20. They're well aware of these situations. They know, and like to even bring up certain issues were totally untalked about when I was in high school. There were things that that kids talk about now that would never even been brought up in high school, or especially with history books, just not even mentioned, And I was one of those guys that always questioned what was in the book. And I was like, why does it say it like this? Why is this like, this doesn't seem right. Yeah. Can you explain this? And then teachers just like, I don't know, just like trying to find. And and the thing about it is, like, when I was young, you asked somebody, an elder or something, they just told you whatever the fuck they wanted to, and you believed that, or if you didn't or not. Now it's like you tell a kid something, and they're like, oh, yeah? Well, Wikipedia says this. And it's like, you don't know dick, man. You can't tell kids shit anything anymore. It was like, I was in Dominican with my buddy and his two sons, and they're like 10 years old at the time. Yeah. And they're just coming in every 5 minutes and telling us this whole history of Dominican and all this stuff, and how the British came, and all this stuff and this, and we're like, yeah, okay, sure. we're like, yeah, okay. It's like, okay, yeah. Don't fact check it with us. Like, you already know this stuff. It's like, and the kids are well aware. And I think the importance of bringing up these issues are so the kids are aware. And I think eventually,
yeah, man, I think the kids are more aware than the gen.
We're like, given credit for.
I've always hung out with like older people, and I think now it's kind of, I don't know, like even like I got.
They're not thinking like we do anymore, or like people that we know our age. It's like these kids that are younger than 20, they don't even think like us.
Well,
anymore.
I think there's yeah, and like
there's more inclusiveness with them too.
We're not even that old. But like I definitely still like have friends that are now, they're still pretty young, but they're definitely becoming like stuck in their ways people, man. Like,
yeah,
me
too. Trust me.
I had I like to stay away from like hopping onto like, the social media, the big back and forth threads, you know what I mean?
Like, those years are well behind me. You can go back to my old Facebook and look at the crazy.
I feel like you can't have the tone. The tone doesn't carry across when you're just typing shit out. Like, it just it gets lost, and people just like immediately feel like you're attacking them or something.
Yeah, because people take it so personal, and it's not like you can be. Yeah.
I had a big debate recently about like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah,
and like, and like. I was for it. Like, I didn't really watch the cartoon, but I saw it enough times to be like, that is a creepy.
That's a rapist.
That's that's
a raping. That's a raping skunk.
And so like I was after this whole thing, I was like, oh man, I was fired up after it. I'm not like, I hate to admit it, but yeah, I was like, oh man, it really irked me that I couldn't, I couldn't show this person the light immediately. It was just kind of like, it just minimized it, being like, oh, it's a cartoon. It's like they have access to Grand Theft Auto. Like, what's this cartoon saying? it's, I don't know, I think it's very symbolic. It's very, it sets the standard in a way. It's saying like, this cartoon can't get away with it, so you think you
Yeah.
think you can, like,
Well, it's
like what
ingrained in our society, in our what we've been brought up with too.
yeah,
Like
it's just it's I don't know, like, to me that was just the younger generation coming up and saying, what, like, this old time skunk that was like created in 1940s when women were very much treated less than.
Mhm.
It was created back in time where that kind of behavior was probably funny.
Encouraged. Yeah.
I have space for this in our
Yeah. No, that's where the kids don't even think like us anymore. It's not even in their radar to think like that, And when changes are happening, they're all for this. Because they're understanding the value of this and education. And I hope Aysanabee still there. It kind of froze up. Getting a frozen signal from you, buddy. Hoping you're still there. Let me. Oh, we gotcha. Oh, I think we lost him. I don't know where he went. Maybe he got cut off, and maybe his signal got cut off. I'm not sure. But thanks, Aysanabee. Aysanabee. I say it right. I think so. Yeah. Maybe we can get him back on. I don't know if he's out or we'll wait. We'll give him a little minute to see if he can get back in. Maybe just the signal got cut off or something. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. We had Dr. Keys earlier, and we had Aysanabee, and you can check both of their handles. Hey, we got him back here. So, yo, we gotcha.
Yeah, here I am.
Slipped away there for a second.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can get our
Disney
split screen back.
Yeah, Disney heard us talking about Pepe Le Pew and called YouTube. Get these guys off the air.
Multi-conglomerate.
There's 5 minds
There
that
we
are changing right now. There's 5
Well, they
minds
do
that are
own
advancing.
everything, so better watch your back there.
Yeah, and so like
Kidding.
I was hoping it wouldn't end there. We didn't finish the whole thought
No,
on Pepe.
no.
I was just like, hey, and that guy was
I'm just getting some water here.
Oh man,
that would have been funny though, the way it ended.
I wanted to finish my rant.
They got discovered. There's people watching. Okay, so I got a couple of things quickly on that shit.
Yeah, for sure, man.
4 or 5 years ago, or 5, 6 years, 7 years ago, and if you can go back to listen to my 2 albums, they're quite. There's a lot of voice about certain opinions, right? Like, I said a lot of shit that went down this year in my 2 previous albums. So it's like, I don't want to say a whole bunch of shit again. So it's like, I brought up many issues over 10 years that went on deaf ears. So it's like, all of a sudden, everybody's like, a discoverer of information. And I went down those roads of rabbit holes and all that stuff. And, it kind of made me a lonely person too. It was just like, you almost become like a cynical person where you're just like, oh, I know everything and I have to warn everybody. And it's just like,
are you talking
opinion.
Are you talking about like some Alex Jones stuff or what?
Yeah, kind of like in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my brother were having that chat.
Yeah, exactly.
He
so
was big
it's
into
like,
that.
I got caught up in that. And I also I understood as it was happening, the manipulation, right? I understood the power of social media and its manipulation and saw where it was going. And if you really listen to my album, The Bad Meat LP, that's what it is. It's like somebody believing all this shit and really getting behind it emotionally. That's what most of this album is like taking that whole dark side. And like I really embraced it, and I dove into it, and I acted like someone on that side who was kind of like not sure of things, you know what I mean? So it's interesting to like question a lot of things, but it's also you got to take a kind of an entertainment look at it right now with a lot of shit. And that's the way I look at a lot of things, where it's just not entertainment wise, but it's like you can't look at it in an opinionated way where it just you have to present yourself with the facts as like you're watching the news, right? What the news is supposed to be, really.
And I think that is kind of like,
my sister's on here.
That was kind of like the argument a bit. Like I feel like he was thinking it was like some sort of mind control thing. Like, we get rid of the skunk. What's next? We're gonna be burning all the books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like no. It's just we're all gonna have to just accept that.
Exactly.
Rape culture is bad.
Is real.
Let's not do anything to let anyone feel like that. Because like you know what I mean. Like I know for some people that seems like the smallest thing. Oh, it's a cartoon, but it's like the difference is it's geared towards kids. Yeah, like Grand Theft Auto that has an age thing, and people can choose to buy that. Like I suppose like people can choose to watch cartoon, but if it's geared towards kids, then that's a bit different. Like they didn't make Grand Theft Auto.
A whole bunch
like,
of shit about Disney. I can get in a whole bunch of
and
Disney and their undertones with shit and fucking
and it's history. Like I'm not saying I think one thing I hate is the term cancel culture.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate that term, and here's why. It's because it's just like this blanket statement that people just use to cover up everything, it seems like.
Yeah.
The racism, rape culture, misogyny. The list goes on. Like you gotta call it what it is. You can't just say, you say cancel culture, and it seems like that's a more palatable way for people to not actually have to deal with the issue of what it
cognitive
really is.
Dissonance.
Yeah. I feel like that was probably like a term coined in some sort of think tank somewhere, where it's like,
sure. Just
how do
like
we make rape
just like conspiracy theory
good?
is. Just
like you know what I mean?
Conspiracy theory. Yeah.
It's like cancel culture. I think we should cancel culture.
Yeah. Well,
the term cancel culture. Cancel culture. Because
I knew you were on a slippery slope when you actually cancel people. It's like off platforms, but it's like these are platforms that are businesses, and they're entitled to do that if they want.
Name me one person that shouldn't have been canceled. You know what I mean? And when you say someone was canceled, like it's some boogie, like it's treated like it's some boogeyman who's out to get you next.
Yeah.
Like what's next?
Exactly.
Oh my God, are they gonna?
Yeah.
It's not. It's these people weren't canceled. They were just they were being called out for their own behaviors. They're being called out for being shitty people. Like exactly. It wasn't anything else but their own undoing that got them where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, let's not fall behind this banner of cancel culture, and like that's just somehow victimizing the abusers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, the thing, to go back kind of to the conspiracy theory thing, I knew it was my last straw was the flat Earth. I was like, I'm out. Fuck this shit. After that, I was like, after I went down that rabbit hole, I was like, fuck this shit. Because most of it was, to be honest with you, was just tied with religion. And I was just like, I'm out. All right. And then I've been to Dominican a lot, so I've a couple summers in a row I got to stay there for like a whole month, and I lived there, and I met a guy there who went to the same high school as me, and he lived in the same building as me downtown, not at the same time, but like on different times. So it was like, I just thought it was a cool coincidence of those two things, and I said, I got a podcast and I do this shit. And he was really into my music. He's like, you're a truther. He had like an Alex Jones kind of thing. And he listened to my music. He's like, you're a truther. Your words need to be listened to. Like, people need to listen to your lyrics. And I was like, I'm just more of like a commentator. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like commentating on what I see. And so he's like, I got a pod. He has a podcast, he said. I'm like, all right, okay. So I decided to do his podcast, right? So I'm like, what's it about? He goes, it's flat earth. Like, it's a full on flat earther podcast, right? And I was like, listen, it's like, I don't believe a lot of the fucking shit that I'm singing about. Sometimes it's just, I'm doing it to fuck around with people, you know? I just like pushing buttons sometimes.
Yeah.
And I like just, you know, it's just part of like, it's not shock and awe, but it's kind of just like, it's funny. Sometimes some of the shit I rap about is funny as fuck, right? So I just like, listen, there's certain things that I don't agree with and da-da-da. I'm like, so, and we came up with this thing like agree to disagree, right? So we were going to have a nice conversation. And I listened to everything he had to say, and it was all this, you know, Alex is a woke one, and this is before even a fucking woke was a term and all that shit. And he's like, we got a truther here with us, and all these people online are like this and this and this. And then the amount of fucking messages on his thing were insane. And all these messages were like, we'll convert him. Don't worry. Eventually he'll get it, you know? And
like
I
about
was
you?
like, yeah, about me. I seen these things online because I'm like, he's talking God and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Nice, cool story, bro.
Them.
And I was like, they're actually thinking that they're going to convince me into being a flat earther. And I was just like, I listened to all this.
How do you convince someone of that? Here, smell this marker.
We started with like little topics, and we worked up to like 9/11, and then he got into the flat earth, and I'm like, listen, man, that I don't believe in any of that shit.
Crazy. Yeah, you know, I knew a flat earther as well. I've only met one.
And it was amazing. It was crazy. I did this whole podcast. You can probably find it on YouTube somewhere. But
wasn't there a guy who built a rocket?
Yeah. There was a dude.
What happened to him?
I think he was a Florida man, and that's all you got to say is Florida man. You got my attention.
Did his rocket?
No, he did, and it went up, and it fucking blew up.
What? Did he die?
It just didn't work out. It was like, you know what reminded me of? It entertained me so much, and this is one of my childhood heroes was Super Dave Osborne. Like,
I don't want to laugh at it, but
Super Dave
Osborne, the world's
Osborne,
probably better off.
Yo, but the hype that this guy had up was so ridiculous. He's like, I'm just going to take you up there and prove it to everybody that it's flat. Like,
it's crazy, though. It's crazy to try and put yourself in these people's shoes, though. Like what?
Isolation.
Does it feel like some sort of like noble journey or something to be
exactly?
Like,
it is exactly
we've been lied
what the fuck.
to about this.
No, it's
this
exactly
philosophy
what it is.
of round. Like,
it's exactly
what
it is.
What is there to gain?
Nothing about except self-notoriety. Self-notoriety and actually money. There's fucking money behind this like you wouldn't believe. So this is where it really clicked off to me. I'm like, fuck this shit. This guy had so many followers, and he had a great voice. He had like a movie voice too, like a coming this Friday. He had like a movie trailer voice, like, so he can narrate a lot of this shit. And a lot of those fucking garbage videos that I was watching were videos like this guy constructed. And it's not hard. You just steal a bunch of footage, you narrate it, and it's fucking believable because people are looking for that shit, and they're looking for something that is agreeing what they're thinking. So they're like, oh, I found this verification of these facts, right? So it's just going, and this algorithm.
I feel like I really want to go to one of these. Do they have communities? That's me. I feel like this is like a commune in the forest or something.
Oh, you should see here. You know what the funniest thing
I would
is?
love to be just there to kind of experience and see.
Somebody posted this one thing. It said it was like a conference online of flat earthers, And the actual, I think there was a slogan on it. It said, "Flat Earthers around the world connecting." The irony in that alone is fucking incredible.
That's amazing.
It's like
I-
you're debating flat Earth, but you're saying you're connected around. You're using the word around the Earth. Like, it's the
I just
fucking,
I just want to see, like, I'm gonna be there when they're like explaining the science and they just like put like a ball on the ground and be like, it's not rolling.
see.
I've created fire.
Oh, you would have
Like,
laughed.
what-
This guy.
How does that?
This guy was so funny in Dominican. He was just like, and we were done the podcast. It was that night, right? So we're walking out, and he's looking. He's pointing at the moon, and he's pointing at the flat ocean out there. He goes, "It's so obvious. Just look out there." I'm like, "Yeah, from your perspective, your little ant perspective. Okay, I maybe, you know, but have you flown in a plane? Have you fucking seen? Like, I don't know. It just to me, I think there's a great thing about, you know, the internet and information, like you said, but there's also a lot of opportunities to mislead people, and there's so much that plays into like messing with people too, where I saw this shit with Facebook years ago where it's like and I was posting about this, about how Facebook's algorithm can manipulate you and your feelings. Really, it's like they're seeing what you're posting and your like emotional responses to it. Like, and that's why all those different emojis were created. Like, I feel sad, I feel angry. They're taking tabs of like how you feel. And this is all for like to gear for marketing. Everything comes down to money, right? So it's all for how are they going to target market you? So this is, they see these stories that come in that get you emotionally charged. They emotionally charge you, so they're going to feed you more stories that are like this. And that's why it's called your feed. They're feeding you this shit, and it's all just so you'd stay on that platform, really. That's what it's all for, is really so you stay on the platform and look at more ads. And that's really at the end of the day what it's about. And there's a lot of money to be had with the conspiracy theories and all that shit. And, you know, even arguing with people online, there's actual jobs for bloggers to start shit with people. So I think a lot of like angst was built up online as well, you know what I mean? And that's dangerous. And at the same time, it's like there's so much information coming out of the past, you know what I mean, that needs to be shown and that needs to be talked about and brought to light, right?
So think TikTok is doing all that now? They gotta be.
Yeah, well, TikTok pays the least. They can fuck off, you know.
Well, I mean, I feel like Facebook,
but they're so popular. It's crazy. It's
that's what I mean. I feel like Facebook is kind of dying. It's like an old people thing now.
It is. Here's the thing. Here's my analogy. The quicker it is, the younger it is. So Facebook is like fucking tuna casserole recipes and like articles of child abduction. It's like, and that's for like senior citizens. And like on Mary Kay's wall or something. That's her wall. And the amount of like middle-aged women that are getting into conspiracy theories is like kind of entertaining for me, really, in a way.
I did see a TikTok video on that actually. So.
Yeah. And then so Instagram is kind of like our age, you know, where we're like, okay, we still have kind of an attention span where we're quick in the scene. And then TikTok is the younger kids who's just like shit so fast. But if I was a teenager, I'd be fucking doing TikTok as well, because that's all we did when we were kids. We did these little sketches, but we had no platform to put it on. I had like little sketches I did in college when I was a kid, and all these kids are doing is making these little stories, and they're using the gear. They're figuring out how to do jump cuts. They're learning how to do camera trickery, which is kind of cool, like how to visually fool people, right? And they're just using the gear to figure out their own platforms, you know. And TikTok has just made a deal with Universal Music, I think. and they're gonna start paying artists a little more properly.
Yeah. No, I've trying to
But TikTok
like
is
I started a TikTok. I didn't post anything yet, but
yeah.
I'm just trying to trying to figure out my brand. I mean, I'm not even sure that's what it's for. Like, I feel like people like the whole thing with TikTok is just I don't know. I think they say it is to be like original, but I feel like they say that with everything.
Yeah, well, here's a
Like,
TikTok thing for you.
unfiltered.
I got into it a year and a half ago because these kids reached out to me, and I don't want to say any names, but this kid reached out to me, and he's like, oh, "I love your videos." I think it was one of my promos I put out for the Horseshoe, and he's like, "Great shot, and we'd like to use your music in our TikTok videos," and we have like 5 million followers, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And then so I paid these kids to put out all these videos, right? And they only put out one video. These little fuckers.
You got ripped off by the
Yeah,
TikTokers.
totally got ripped off by these fucking kids,
on
man.
TikTok.
I got jacked on TikTok. So these kids made a
gangster
video
shit.
for Cool Cats. Like you can go into TikTok and you can find my songs, right? So they used Cool Cats. It got 300,000 views. You know how much money I got for that? $3
Yeah. Well, I feel like
for
when it
TikTok.
was-
TikTok is so low. Like
Yeah,
the payout for TikTok is very low, and the spread is very high. But that's about to change. That's like when Spotify first came out. Spotify pays a lot more than they had 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think eventually these entities are gonna have to pay a little more. And
Yeah, that's amen.
so, and we can get into a whole other conversation about NFTs.
Yeah, that's
which
that's
is super interesting.
We'll save that for the podcast.
We'll save that for.
Yeah.
And by the way, anybody that's watching, this is kind of just like an extension of my podcast that I had before, and you were a guest on one of my first podcasts. But now I think this is basically the podcast with guests, and I'm just expanding
Yeah,
it
no,
now.
that's cool. That's cool.
And yeah, thanks for joining me, man. We've gone almost 3 hours on the podcast.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah, you and I have gone almost 2 hours, man. So thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah. I might
Did
close.
you
with
want
a
to
song.
say any closing marks or do a closing song for us? Or
I might do a closing song.
that's what we said the last one, I think. But I just love doing this, man. This is fucking great. And once I figure out some more audio angles, we're just gonna get better and better.
Is that shimmer effect coming through too much?
Yeah,
Just
it is.
that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, it's nice. It's not too much. It's I've been using it lately. I've been falling in love with that little like. I feel like there's just a tiny little.
Resonate. Yeah.
I don't even know what that sound is. Like it's.
It sounds kind of like from my angle, it kind of
Sounds like-
sounds.
What does it sound like?
It's a shimmer for sure. It's like it's almost like a keyboard key, like a pad. It's like
Yeah.
it's cool though.
Okay. As long as it's not
Alright.
too much. All right.
Take it away.
I'll play a song I wrote recently called War Cry.
place when he found himself in the wilderness. He's looking for a kind, don't know how. He's looking for a kind, it won't come out. Left those just like he should have come out the work as best he could. Heavy-minded, muddy boot, the moving part, they cut the wood. Pulled up by the bootstrap, he could choke on now. He could hurt his baby if he choked some down and choked him down and built this house, but part of him is missing now. Got to build this house, but time is all he's missing now. Took this long to figure out. Took this long to figure out. House can build. It's better off left. House can build a whole world. It's better off left. Choked him down to build this house, but time is all he's missing now. Stuck it out in this big house, but memories only vision now. Took this long to figure out. So house can build.
All right, man. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Let me see if I can get my
Yeah, the old
no, it doesn't want to give me my split. Hey, I'll just stay on you until we're ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming out and playing your songs and chatting, and we're almost up to 3 hours. This is fucking awesome.
Let's give these people a
great.
break. I'm sure they got other things to do on a Friday night.
Yeah. So yeah, plug away. Plug anything that you want people to watch or buy.
Yeah. I think you shared a link to my Bandcamp, but also the music's for free as well on all the streaming platforms for people without means. But if you guys want to, want to buy a song, there's a Bandcamp link, but good if not. But tomorrow I will be playing a stream for the for AMPAVA, which is the Association for Native Development in the Performing and Visual Arts.
Gotcha.
It took me a second there. It's like a long one, but yeah, great organization. And they've been helping Indigenous artists get some paying gigs when there's absolutely almost nothing. So I'll be performing tomorrow. They actually start the stream starting at 6. There's 4 Indigenous artists. I think the first one is actually a chef, and he's going to be cooking some traditional foods, which I'm actually going to watch. I mean, every year I've been starting now to do like a fast on my birthday, and then like the following days I call it like Indigenous fusion food. So like do this whole week long menu. So I'm like really excited to see what he does to kind of add to the recipes I've been using. And then I play at 7. You can go to Facebook, ANPAVA. That's ANDPVA, ANPAVA. And they'll be sharing all the watch parties from their page. And then after me, his name's escaping me, but there's two more singer-songwriters, and the guy after me, I checked out his music, and he only has one song out, but I really dug it. So I'm excited to see what else he's doing.
Nice.
I think his last name is like Magnuson, I believe. But yeah. Good song. I haven't seen his music video. I think it's going to be releasing soon, but it looked cool. Like,
gotcha.
He's up and coming Indigenous artist. So check it out tomorrow.
Nice. Well, thanks for being around, and thanks for playing, and hopefully we'll get some more of these in the future. And
for sure.
Play some more. So, we'll get on some other platforms, and we'll
let's get on that Flat Earth platform. Play that whole Flat Earth circuit. It only goes one way. You got to get to what's the ring? The ring of that's Antarctica. It's not actually flat. It's that's the border around. Yeah. Okay. They just fall off. Yeah.
You know what I said to a lot of stuff like that? You know, they did expeditions like back in the day. It's like, why don't enough people with money go do an expedition and show us then? Go show us this fucking rig it up.
I feel like no flat earthers have any money.
No, rig it up, live stream it, and we'll see. Go. Let's go check it out. Well, I'll watch. Yeah, I'll pay.
And then they actually fall off, and they were in the know, and all of us were just the circle earthers, the round earthers, the crazy round earthers,
the circle jerkers. On
just
that
a bunch
note.
of jerks. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys.
All right, man.
Talk about Flat Earth.
Everybody check out Aysanabee on all his handles, and check him out tomorrow night, and many other streams to come in the future. So thanks, buddy, and let's have another morning coffee by the water there.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's good.
All right.
Red for me. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good night. Later. So that was Aysanabee, and you can check him out on all his platforms. And I want to thank Dr. Keys for joining me tonight. What a fucking show we had tonight. This is almost 3 hours I'm coming up on. And I'm just going to plug my own stuff before I leave here. So I do have an album, and that's the title of my song. So you can check my material out on Focus Rap Bandcamp, and I have 3 albums out. So if you want to help support myself and other artists like Aysanabee and Dr. Keys, get on Bandcamp next Friday, April 2nd, because they are waiving all the fees for all us artists. So we get 100% of the proceeds for our album sales. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody, Facebook and YouTube, and I'm going to be doing this on a regular weekly basis, and Next Friday, we're going to have some more guests and maybe some musical performance, and I might perform myself as well. Trying to bring attention to Bandcamp Friday on April 2nd. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be broadcasting on Instagram, my Instagram page at Focus Rap, and I think I have this down, but I'll be providing professional audio for my Instagram broadcast. So I think I'm going to be starting a Saturday night thing with that as well. And Sunday night, you can check me out on Twitch at 8 p.m. I'm going to be doing a weekly Twitch show as well. Doing some freestyling and maybe incorporating some other artists from around the world. So that is under AM Grinding as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to get some music to take us out on. And thank you so much for being a part of this. And stay focused. Peace.